Hey to the most amazing nurses. It is Dr. V here with Morning Infusion with Dr. V podcast, where we are intentional about teaching nurses how to work from anywhere around the world, making money and owning your own time, building profitable nurse coaching and consulting businesses. You will hear from amazing guests that have grown their companies and want to share insight into how you can do the same to change the face of healthcare as we know it. If you want to grow your businesses and leverage your knowledge as a nurse to grow wildly successful businesses at the top, instead of working your way to the top, head on over and join our Millionaire Nurse CEO group on Facebook, where you can ask questions and get updates on our live and virtual events to help you grow your businesses. Hello, everyone. So welcome. We have got the amazing Tierra, Owen, with us today. And so first, before we even start, I ask that you subscribe to the Millionaire Nurse CEO page. I ask that you like, share, comment. I also ask that you chat, that you subscribe or download the from Spotify and Apple. I like and tell us what we're doing right, tell us what we're doing wrong, tell us what you want to see, those types of things. So we're gonna jump into it. So Tierra, tell us who you are in your own words.
Okay, awesome. Well, first of all, I just want to thank you, Dr. Viola, just for allowing me this time to share with your audience and to be in conversation with you. I just feel like this is a, really like loving conversation that we can have with nurses going forward. And in terms of what I offer and what I bring to the table for other nurses and other healthcare professionals as well is being able to access something called living benefits. So I came about this world after working in nursing for 20 years at the bedside, and just really knew that that was a space that more and more year after year was less and less fitting for me. And so when I got to leave that profession, I got to work in a very, very small clinic that showed me the importance of being able to have living benefits, because we were working with a population of people that had really done everything right in their lives, had worked their whole careers, had set aside money, had raised children, had done various really great things in the world. And then they ended up with something like cancer or heart disease or chronic fatigue syndrome or chronic Lyme's disease or something like this, and had gone through years and years of seeking answers, seeking alternative treatments, seeking mainstream treatments, and then just really running out of money doing it all, with their healthcare covering probably about 80% of the cost, but they were having to foot 20% of the bill, having full healthcare coverage, and then they weren't working. So a lot of them came to us like on the edge of bankruptcy, in bankruptcy, foreclosures of homes, and just trying to get their basic bills covered while they were continuing to fight the fight to stay healthy. So this is where I am now, is helping people bridge that gap, which I feel really strongly about nurses doing so, because they're the ones that are really out there putting their foot forward, helping these people in the first place.
I love it. So, we're going to go back, because I always go back to, the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
So what is from the very beginning, like, why did you even become a nurse?
Yeah, great question. So I actually became a nurse sort of in a kind of a roundabout way, being actually pushed by my peers to do so. When I was younger, a lot of people would tell me like, I think you'd be a really good nurse. I think that you should look at that profession. And I always found myself kind of on the edge of alternative medicine, complementary medicine, nature-based medicine, really into nature, meditation, healing, breath work, nutrition, all of these things. And I thought, I don't really fit into the mold of allopathic medicine. But I did have that very nurturing spirit. I was always cooking food for people. I was always patching them up with different salves or first aid, types of things, or maybe even, brewing them teas, or, coming up with, support systems. Fasting was another big area that I was supporting people in my younger years. And I came about the population when I had my very first child, I got immersed into childbirth, midwifery, supporting moms through that phase. And found it was like a ton of fun and a really huge calling for me. So I ended up working with moms as an apprentice midwife, and also being able to support moms in birth with my own business as a birth doula and a postpartum doula. So did that for a number of years while I developed other side supports and educational certifications like massage therapy, lactation counseling, and then just it all kind of wrapped up and rolled up into my friend, a really dear friend of mine, kind of a little bit of a mentor to me, said, nursing is never a bad choice. Once you're a nurse, you're always a nurse, and you can really branch out and do whatever you want with nursing. And so I entered nursing school when I was in my 30s, and never back, worked right into the labor and delivery, postpartum care, bedside nursing, and found that, it was really the place where 95% of our population delivers. It gave me access to be able to work with a lot of different people and really create my career from that space.
Yeah, we in the emergency department, we love the we love there's a couple of people that we really, really love. We absolutely love the ICU nurses, and we absolutely love the labor and delivery nurses, because I'm not trying to deliver no patients, and I'm not trying to do 12,000 drips at all. That's not what's going to happen. So I love y'all. Now, tell me, so once you got into, labor and delivery, because
Mhm.
y'all were happy people. Like, I really,
Mhm.
really like the L&D nursing arena. Once you got in there,
Mhm.
were you one of those? I just have to ask this. Were you one of those mothers that whenever you had your baby that you didn't want any epidurals? Like, I wanted mine at 20 weeks. Were you one of those people? Just ask.
Well, I personally was
Mhm.
definitely one of those people. I was into the process of going deep within myself to find out what I was made of in terms of that. Now, that's not for everybody, and that's not to say that I am so supportive of any kind of way that a mama wants to go through that experience, right? We never know how people are showing up, right? We never know what came before them. We never know why or how or what happens to people before they go into childbirth. And so whatever people need to move through that. But yeah, I was gangbusters around, I'm curious about what's going to happen if I just go, so that's the way that I approached it. And and many other people want to help with that as well too. So I've got a lot of great tools with that, but also, it's just the compassion of being the witness and the presence, and how honoring that is to be in that position over and over and over again for a mama and a family.
Listen, I give y'all props. You hear me? I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to do that. Okay, all right. So now you had your three children, and
Mhm.
you were in this nursing career,
Yeah.
and something dramatic happens. You
Mm.
you go through a divorce.
Yes, yeah, not what I was expecting at all, Dr. Viola. I really, I had fabulous marriage, really, really fabulous. And I'm grateful, honestly, every single day for what I was able to experience with my husband and raising these kids and the life that we put together. And we still put together for these kiddos, because my youngest is a freshman in high school, and my middle kiddo is a senior. My daughter's an adult. So I'm super grateful. And I think also one day I'll be really, really grateful for the divorce as well. When you're mid process in it, it's a crisis, it's a vulnerability that you expose to really see what it is, see what those wounds really look like and are for you, so that you're able to make the proper changes that are needed for you to take that next step in life, to see that next iteration of yourself. So what I saw was a massive hole in my financial vulnerability. I felt really sturdy about, like, my emotional self, my psychological self, my relationship self. But in the financial space, I felt a real big emptiness and vulnerability. So that was one. How am I going to do it all on one income? Right. And if something happens to me, what am I going to be able to leave my kids with that's going to be really meaningful to be able to know that they've got some support underneath them, that if I'm gone, that they're not going to have to worry about some of the financial pieces. So that led me into looking at the living benefits piece of my life. And ultimately, this is couched in the concept of life insurance that you don't have to die to use. And when most people hear about life insurance, they think of like, oh, that's just money that you get if you die. But who wants to bank on dying to be able to like have a benefit for their family? So in terms of these living benefits concepts, it's being able to access up to $1.5 million to take care of income replacement in case something happens to you, whether it be, a non-terminal cancer, a heart attack, a stroke, maybe even a terminal illness, maybe even a chronic illness where you can't do things like walking, showering, bathing, eating, dressing, or maybe even looking towards the end of your life where the biggest amount of healthcare dollars are spent, right? Most people get sick before they die, and they have a lot of trouble covering those costs at that time of their life. So being able to have something that's going to bridge you through that time so that you're not having to worry about asking your children for support, and you're not having to worry about what's going to be left over after, you use every last penny, maybe even have to give up your home to get through the process.
Yeah, it's interesting because I just went to a conference, and in
Mhm.
the conference we play this game is called Money Palooza. And so if you have 10 people in your group and basically you figure out what you can do in order to pull together $100,000. Each
Mm.
pull together $100,000, and probably about we have 10 people in our group, six of them said insurance. And I was like, that is very, very interesting because previous to I'd always done term life insurance forever, ever and a day. And then learning the differences in the insurances and understanding, um, just paying a little bit more and understanding how that can benefit you just really, really changed the game for me.
Yeah.
Changed the game.
Mhm.
So when you went through the divorce, what made you change? What made you go into this industry?
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I love that you asked that too, because I think, when people are looking at making a career change, you're often looking at facing a lot of cost,
Mhm.
you retraining yourself in a different field, maybe starting a business that's gonna have a lot of investment upfront before you see any of that return come to you. Maybe it might take quite a bit of time. And I was looking at a gap where I didn't have 1 to 2 years, maybe 3 years, maybe 5 years, who knows, to wait until I could replace my nursing income. And so really using that concept of intrapreneur rather than entrepreneur, being part of an organization that was gonna help me with just exchanging a really small cost. And when I mean a really small cost, I'm talking about under $200 to give me access to the education, to give me access to people who had already done it and knew and were willing to hold my hand through it, and to give me also thirdly the turnaround that I would be able to pick up that income replacement in a much faster way than I would be looking at my own business. So that actually turned my head in terms of like, I need to do this now. I need to do it quickly. And I'd say the fourth thing would be too was making myself a client right off the bat to be able to experience firsthand what these do. And I think a lot of people get really hung up on the term life insurance. They think about, oh, what does that mean? Are they going to really pay you? Insurance is kind of a dirty industry, but I want to have people look a little deeper at who is the insurer. Are they a big stock owned company? Or they may be a mutual company that's really looking out for the community, is really looking out for families, is really looking out for middle America solutions to not have bankruptcy and foreclosures. And the other thing is too, is look at what it does, not what it's called. And so I think you're understanding that too. There's protection from market loss in insurance. There's ways to protect you from not overpaying in taxes. And there's this amazing ability to transfer wealth and change generational wealth trajectories. When you can be that break in the link of the chain that has held you down for generations, that's powerful.
It is very powerful. And I think that you're right when it comes to thinking about life insurance, because it was such a, it's such a taboo thing, right? You're going to
Mm.
live forever. We're not nobody. All of you are not going to get out of this life alive. Okay. So we might as well start the conversation and start talking about life insurance. And I think that nursing really changed the way that I looked at everything. And it
Mm.
also changed the way that I live, right? Because if I'm not going to get out of here alive, then I'm going to live my life to the fullest while I'm here,
Yes,
right? I mean,
absolutely.
one of the things, and I know, we have people that like they don't want to get on an airplane and they don't want to do this certain thing. Listen,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
get on the airplane,
Yeah.
live your life to the fullest, do the thing. So we're going to continue our conversation after our commercial break. We'll be right back.
I remember being a stressed out nurse, barely keeping it together. Then I brought like-minded nurses wanting to actually make healthcare better for other nurses. At a conference that promises you can build a successful online business, it sounded too good to be true, but I created it anyway. And guess what? Now nurses have businesses where they have so much time on their hands that they are constantly traveling, going on endless excursions, while all they do is walk and walk and walk. They say it's exhausting. And don't get me started on cooking up new recipes as a family. It's like a fun kitchen adventure. But then every meal turns into a science experiment. They end up with tired taste buds and a fridge full of what were we thinking leftovers. And your kids, they grow up thinking that success and financial stability are normal. How are we supposed to teach them about struggle at the food shelf? And your phone is like a torture device. Buzzed in with notifications from new clients wanting to work with you. But it gets worse. Conference pulls you into a circle of go-getters who are all about chasing their dreams. Seriously, who needs that much positive energy? So if you're thinking about coming to the Millionaire Nurse CEO conference, where unfortunately I'll be speaking, don't do it. You might end up working by the pool, earning a living from your laptop, and never looking back. But hey, if you insist on gaining the skills to take care of you and your family for the rest of your life, consider yourself forward.
So join us for the Millionaire Nurse CEO conference. And so now we're going to get back into it. So tell me how has working with the financial services allowed you to reconnect with your purpose and empowering others?
Just the passion of being able to kind of create a solution, not kind of, but create an absolute solution for people who've worked so hard in their lives. And I think it's just a direct reflection of what I worked with as well, is like, how am I going to create that bridge for that retirement gap that I'm actually not sure how big it is or what it really looks like, but be able to look at it, quantify it, qualify it, and actually create very, very creative solutions to helping that bridge be a beautiful, crystal clear, growing pathway into abundance. That's been fabulous. And the other piece too is just really having that passion of serving people. It feels like the educational pieces that I used to really want to have at the bedside, right? How much education do we want to do? And education is not just telling people, it's hearing their stories and being able to understand where they're coming from and their why, so that you can share with them how that education connects and how it prioritizes with their own needs too. So being able to actually truly do that here, I have ample time. I have actually as much time as I want to play out what that looks like for people and being able to tell them stories. And this is stuff that I was never able to have time at the bedside to do.
So what has surprised you most about the industry and you having the ability to be in this thriving career? What has surprised you the most?
I think with our agency, I have been shocked by the impact of love. You wouldn't think that this industry is full of loving people, but what I've come around in terms of our own our own brokerage and the smaller agencies within it has just been the impact that their individual stories, whether they're a recipient of living benefits themselves, and that's actually how they came on board, or whether it's somebody like a nail technician, that actually shifted and pivoted their careers to this, and now are actually being able to do so well and be able to provide for their family and be able to change that generational wealth trajectory. And then also seeing people that have just worked so hard. So, for example, people like in the restaurant industry, those people work like 18-hour days, and they're really, if they're owners, they're really, really never done. And they suffer significant health problems because of that, often due to stress, right? And being overworked. So being able to see somebody be able to have that much stamina, to have that much capacity to work, and then just maybe even applying half of that in this space and being able to do much better, being able to create passive incomes for themselves, being able to set themselves up, has just been a game changer in terms of being really, really moved by all walks of life. And also seeing a lot of nurses in my space too, being able to thrive. That's been really wonderful.
I think that one of the things that has become, and it kind of just really, really became blaringly clear for me
Mm-hmm.
this year has evolved. Because I think initially my whole goal for nurses was to be able to have them live a healthy, sustainable life, and I would always think about, because I was a single mother there for a little while. And when I was a single mother, I remember wanting to take my little boy. I wanted him to be able to, like, he was I wanted him to be able to come home and have someone here for him and things of that nature. And I just couldn't do that because, the daycare is closed between 8 and 5. And, we work between 7 and 7, right? And I remember thinking, that is what I would like to have, but I just don't have the economic prowess in order to be able to do that. And I remember thinking, this is what I want for them. This year, it has become blaringly clear that I really want nurses to become economically savvy, so that they are able to bridge those gaps, because we really have the knowledge to be able to bridge gaps. The problem is that, number one, we give it away for free a lot,
Totally.
and then we don't understand it, and then it's like we don't understand what the power of it is. And people tell me, and this is the craziest thing to me, I don't want to be rich. And I'm like, well, do you want to be poor? Like, what's going on? I don't understand. I don't get it, right? Because at the end of the day, we can do as much advocacy work as we can do, right? And I'm all for it, right? However, if I have enough money that I can change my own life, and then in turn help you to change yours, right? And so I think that has really been something that has become blaringly clear for me. And so that's the reason why I'm very, very interested in people like you who really are helping nurses to be helping them to get out of that space and not worry. Because I had a friend who, she had breast cancer, and like when I first met her, I thought she was living like the best life, right? And then all of a sudden, her medical bills, like she had to come to work every day, right? Working with breast cancer, because she didn't have the ability to be able to not come to work. So
Right.
I
Yeah,
love
I think you're pointing to like a huge why there, for yourself. And, the why for me, of course, like is going to be, first of all, my kids. Second of all, like I had this experience of, I don't know if y'all have Trader Joe's out there, but it's one of like our like little, markets that we have out here on the West, mostly the West Coast. I think it's expanding a lot though. I was just hearing that, a lot of people in their like 70s and 80s were having to come back into the workforce because they ran out of money. And I was shopping there and I saw this older woman who looked exactly like my mom. My mom's almost 80 herself. And I thought, that is actually probably someone's mom, someone's sister, someone's auntie, you know? And so, not only my younger generation, but also my mom made some really good decisions and is doing really well. But you know what? You said something really important, and that is that finance underpins every
Right.
single decision that we make and choice we have access to in our lives. So when you're hearing nurses say that, I would ask them the question of, paint your best picture. Paint the picture of your life that's the best possibility that you can think of, no holds barred. And then ask them how much access they have to that picture and what they need to do in order to bring that into fruition.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. The painting your back. I love that. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
that
Let's do it, Bill.
because it's important, right? At the end of the day, and this is one I heard this one time, and what this person said was, money has no color. Like it crosses every barrier
Yeah.
that there is, right?
Right.
And not to have it just to have it, because who cares about having it?
Right.
What we care about is the freedom and the choice that it gives you, the choice
Mhm.
between having your baby go to this hospital as opposed to this hospital, the choice between having your child go to this school or that school, the choice between having you get on this airplane that has some skeptical issues, or in this truck or car that has skeptical issues, as opposed to it's a whole different ball game. So it's huge, huge, huge. So I'm incredibly thankful and grateful that you are doing what you're doing. So I have some rapid fire questions for you.
Awesome. Right on.
You
Yeah.
ready? All
Oh,
right.
yeah.
So now, what has been your most rewarding thing about being a nurse?
Heart-centered connection. Being able to connect with that individual as actually an extension of a greater whole of humanity and really feel like I'm part of their lives.
I love it. I love it. What is a common misconception about nursing?
Oh, that we all work as a doctor's assistant and we work in hospitals.
Woo! Let me tell you, I'm like, no, that is not the way it is. Okay. So, listen, it was so funny because we were in this situation where this doctor was ordering this medication, and the nurse who was my preceptee, she was kind of scared. She was like, "It's a category D drug," and she had just found out that she was pregnant. And the guy, the doctor was, big and burly, and she was like, "Well, what are we going to do?" And I was like, "We're going to tell them that we're not going to give it."
Right on.
And
Right on.
she was like, "Oh," and so like our eyes get big, and I came around and I was like, "We don't feel comfortable giving it." I said, "We don't want to be confrontational." So I said, "We don't feel comfortable giving it." And so he said, "Well, it's the right thing for her." I was like, "Well, I understand that, but we ain't giving it." Okay, so you want to order something else?
Oh, good for you. But his eyes got big then.
So, what are you reading now?
What am I reading? Right now, actually, I'm revisiting the classic book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Ah, love that one. Love that one. That was so good. So good. So, what are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned in business?
Being patient with yourself, being really gentle with yourself as you go through. There's a lot of like hard knocks in business, right? Like you make a mistake, you put your money in the wrong place, you put your energy in the wrong place, you overwork yourself. That's a really big one too, because sometimes that passion just comes out so big and strong that you're not aware of how to temper your energy and go for a long haul, because being in business for yourself is a marathon.
Yes.
And so you have to build those baby steps in. And maybe, when you're training for a marathon, you first go out and you walk and you run. And you maybe do a mile of running and then you walk a little bit and then you work yourself up to 2 to 5 miles. So it's a marathon, and being able to gauge your energy and definitely having self-reflection so that you can take the time on those lessons, or how am I going to apply? and read, because learning from other people's experience is actually the best teacher, not always your own experience, because you don't have to fall down the same stairs that they did. You don't have to trip up like they did. It's just read and be open and learn and be gentle with yourself.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, who is a leader, living or dead, that you want to have a conversation with?
Oh, goodness. I would say that I love to look at my teacher who's gone now, Thich Nhat Hanh. And Thich Nhat Hanh, if you're not familiar, is a Buddhist monk that actually passed away only a couple years ago, I think in 2022. He left Vietnam as a refugee and lived out most of his life in France, but would love to just sit with him, because I think that conversation, because of the person that he is and the way that he created the teachings of mindfulness and spread them to the West, I think just even being in his presence would pass so much wisdom to me that even the words would kind of demean the message. So I would say Thich Nhat Hanh.
Good, good, good. What is your favorite movie?
My favorite movie? I just actually got asked this a little while ago, and have you seen that movie called Love Actually? It's actually from 2004. Oh my gosh. Everyone go out and watch that movie. It is so renewing in terms of like, the world is a good place. The world is bright, getting brighter, and just let love flow into you. It's there.
I think I've actually watched it, but I can't remember the theme of it. But I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look at it, because
Yeah.
I'm almost sure that I have watched that before.
Yeah.
Okay, now how do you define success?
I would say that I define success as being present with yourself in the context that you're in, to be able to be always with that home within yourself in order to connect with others and to really be and express your best self.
Love it. What's your life's motto?
My life's motto is to be myself always, to live in the present, and to always be looking to ways that I can be uplifting to others.
I love it. Now, where can people find you?
I think that my most active space right now, and the place I'm best accessible, is on LinkedIn. Yeah, please reach out. Please DM me. Please comment, get involved with some of my posts and some of what I'm sharing there. Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. It's been a pleasure, Tierra. It's been a pleasure. So I ask that you subscribe to the channel. I ask that you like, share, comment, download the episode on Spotify and Apple. And we look forward to seeing you at the Millionaire Nurse CEO Conference, everyone. It's going to be amazing. And everyone have a great and amazing rest of your day. Goodbye.